everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another Royal News video. I've got to start changing the slogan to the beginning of the videos. Do you remember when it used to be the squirrel that used to sing? That I mean, hi guys. Now I'm getting irritated with the welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another Royal News video. I feel like I'm a game show host. But anyway, guys, welcome back. It was a lovely weekend. Remembrance weekend is a very special weekend for many. It is deeply emotional for many people, but it's also beautiful. It brings everybody together. It doesn't matter about age. It doesn't matter about race. It doesn't matter about religion or politics. Everybody just comes together as we remember all of those that gave their todays for our tomorrows. The tributes I see every single year from the post box toppers, these are definitely one of my favourite things all year round. They're honestly incredible, knitted or crocheted by some of the most talented people on this small little island, to the incredible poppy displays that appear on bridges, church courtyards, even people's front gardens. It's amazing the incredible amount of effort that people go to create these fantastic tributes to remember those that gave their lives for us. We keep our promises every single year and we remember them. We remember all of them, including the animals that served, not just in the world wars, but also even more recently. Animals have always played a very important part in the military throughout history. And I loved that so many of them still continue to pay tribute to all of those as well. Whilst we are reminded of some of the darkest times in humanity by coming together and remembering them every single year, we are also reminded of the good in humanity. Every year there are so many wonderful stories that are shared, video clips that we haven't seen, photographs that we've not seen, that people's families put forward. But there was one particular clip that made me really happy, but it also made me shed a tear, but it's just beautiful. A World War II veteran, his name is Michael Woods, and he was 100 years old, and he got to do something incredibly special.
I think it's a great honour to take part in this march. I've never done it before. It was lovely. All the comradeship of all the people, especially the ex-veterans. It's lovely.
He did that march past the Cenotaph with 40 other blind veterans. As I said, the emotions do run very high on these days as well for many people for a variety of reasons. So Saturday night, we had the Festival of Remembrance. Every year, the visual displays are extraordinarily beautiful all inside the Royal Albert Hall. The bands are also incredible as they play and march in formations timed with, of course, military precision. And then not forgetting the 2 minutes where millions of poppies fall from the ceiling of the Royal Albert Hall. Each petal is meant to represent a life lost in conflict. It really is a magnificent concert, and nobody quite does it like the armed forces. But one of my favourite parts is, of course, naturally seeing the royal family arrive, and especially seeing the Princess of Wales. She looked absolutely stunning as she arrived alongside her husband, Prince William. With her hair swept to one side, she had that old style Hollywood glamour shine to her, with a smile to match. Other royals in attendance were the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, with Sophie looking lovely in a crushed black velvet dress and a very special brooch, which is the Queen's own yeomanry brooch, alongside her poppy, and it's the regiment that she was appointed Royal Colonel of back in August last year. The Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, the Duke of Kent and the Princess Royal, alongside her husband Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence, stood alongside His Majesty the King. But there was one person that was sadly missing, and we were notified that Queen Camilla had not been signed off by the doctors. She unfortunately was still too unwell to attend the remembrance service at the Cenotaph. This is the huge memorial service where many serving military veterans, military organisations march past the Cenotaph and pay their respects with poppy wreaths that are then laid by His Majesty, by Prince William, the Duke of Edinburgh and the Princess Royal on behalf of various regiments, plus lots of political leaders and leaders of various other organisations that also lay wreaths. There was a very special moment as Catherine looked like she was a little bit overcome by emotion Catherine herself and was comforted by Sophie as they left the service. It's been very obvious for a number of decades how close Catherine and Sophie are. Both women not coming from high society and being blue bloods, both marrying into the royal family. I'm sure they've managed to lean on each other for lots of different reasons. And Sophie, obviously marrying into the royal family a number of years before Catherine, probably helped take her under her wing when they were younger. But it's very clearly obvious not only are they close as family members, they seem to be very close as friends as well, often seen giggling together at various events. Now, speaking of Sophie, there was a cute moment captured on camera after she left the Armistice Day service in Staffordshire on Monday. She had laid a wreath and had taken part in the service and read a poem, but as the Duchess left, she met with several young spectators who were very excited over Sophie's mode of transport.
This is the lady that came in the helicopter.
Yeah, I'm about to go back in my helicopter as well.
Wow.
Will you wave at the helicopter? It's going to take off in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You might see it go up in the sky.
You gonna wave?
So you're doing a big wave?
Yeah.
So let's move away from sweet and cute and let's talk about salty and bitter. And you know exactly when I say that where we're going next, because of course it's Remembrance weekend. It's the royal family on display that are actually still very much committed to a life of service. And like the annoying little Jack in the Box, Harry's jumping up and down going, woo, woo, QEII, don't forget me, don't forget me. And he didn't do one thing, he did 3 things. In fact, he's done multiple things in the past week to try and get the attention back on him. First of all, we had the NATO appearance, didn't we? Harry, cap in hand, talking about the Invictus Games, possibly trying to get more money invested in it because for some reason the Invictus Games seems to spend an awful lot of money. I can't think where that could possibly be going to. Then, of course, we had the appearance of Harry and the wife together wearing their poppies, which was for a online speech to do with child safety on the internet, more predominantly social media, for an event that was happening in Colombia. And then, of course, we had Harry's appearance for Scotty's Little Soldier, where he's the global ambassador as well. Well, he wasn't quite done with Scotty's Little Soldiers because they walked past the Cenotaph themselves. As I said, the Remembrance service on the Sunday, past the Cenotaph, all ages. It's incredible. It really is a beautiful service. But what Harry did was he sent the children sweets. Now, I think this is a lovely gesture, but what takes the sweetness out of it is the press release that comes with it, alerting the worldwide media of this nice thing that he's done. It's straight out of Meghan's playbook of self-promotion. And yet again, using the charity to insert himself some way into the Remembrance Sunday service. This is much like when Harry kicked off and he said, I want a wreath laid on my behalf. None of the wreaths, and Harry should know this, none of the wreaths are laid by the person laying them. They're not personal. They are for organisations, for charities, certain military regiments. Even the one that the king lays, he is the head of the armed forces. By Harry kicking up a stink over that, it just got him much needed attention, and he is willing to use veterans to do so. Now, a perfect example of this is just coming up. So if you've got a hot drink in your lap, I suggest you just put it down for the minute. Some of you have complained to me before when I say something that makes you choke or makes you want to throw it across the room. So there you go. There's your trigger warning. Harry has done an open letter to all veterans, US veterans and UK veterans. Oh yes, America, he's coming for your veterans as well. Harry has been cropping up quite a lot, hasn't he, America? I know that you've noticed it as well. Harry seems to see himself now as a voice for all veterans, and I know it gets under American skins as much as it does the UK, because America, despite the fact that they pledge completely different oaths, it's to their country, it's to their president, they still had a lot of respect and admiration for this incredible and wonderful woman who Harry betrayed on multiple levels. People will remember. Now, in this letter that naturally came out through yes, you guessed it, People magazine. He says a couple of things in there that it shows it's about him. My fellow veterans, so you can guess the tone of which way this is going to go, right? He says about your contributions do not stop because you no longer wear the uniform. Well, that's Harry making it about him. He is still bitter and sucking lemons that he had his patronages, his charitable patronages, and most importantly, his military position stripped away from him. He quits and he's still bitching about it one way or another. To all those that have served, past and present, I offer my deepest respect and thanks. Your service has made a lasting positive impact for all our communities and our nations and our shared future. I am honoured to stand with you. The thing is, Harry, you stopped standing with them a long time ago. How many veterans do you know, honestly? I'm talking to Australia, to Canada, America, any of your countries around the world. How many veterans do you honestly know that went back on their oaths that they have to swear? Harry's oath in the UK Army, I do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God. Harry broke every single part of that, including his grandmother's heart. He's betrayed Queen Elizabeth II, he's betrayed his father, the King, and Queen Camilla. Particularly nasty on Queen Camilla, in all honesty. The future heir, his brother, he's betrayed his family, his friends, and even the army. With some of his so-called confessions, which I think a lot of us think were made up, even endangering the lives of retaliation attacks for people that are still serving. Harry was in the army for 10 years. He was deployed twice to Afghanistan. He served a total of 20 weeks, which, as most of you know that come from military families, his service was very short. Now, Harry can say it's because he got outed, he had to leave for his own safety and the safety of others. But Harry had a very, very different deployment to everybody else. Harry was babysat. He was so protected that he slept through the Camp Bastion attack that left 2 American soldiers dead. At the time, it was covered up saying that Harry was asleep, and if it was his turn to be on duty, then he would have fought exactly the same as everybody else. Where was he sleeping exactly that he couldn't hear that attack on Camp Bastion? It was a cover-up because Harry was so heavily protected. He was sleeping like a baby, safely, and in my guess, somewhere a little bit further out than Camp Bastion. Harry was not an Apache helicopter pilot either. He was a co-pilot, he was a gunner, because the long-seated rumours which actually got called out by an MP that used their position in Parliament to call it out, Harry failed his final pilot's test. They put him forward to it multiple times. Harry could not pass it. That's why he's got different wings to his brother. This is why we've never seen Harry fly so much as a helicopter since he left the army. And this is what also makes it disgusting, that he stood on stage and accepted that award for being a legend of aviation. He still stood there and collected that with a smirk on his face, knowing that he possibly hasn't been inside an aircraft behind the controls since those many years ago when he left the army. But again, we shouldn't be surprised at this because he more recently accepted, much to the dismay of, I think, over 70,000 people signed the form, the petition, the Pat Tillman Award. Pat Tillman's own mother was upset that Harry was being given the award in her son's namesake. Harry still went there with Meghan. They pretty much left as soon as Harry got the award. And it was honestly, it really was disgraceful. Dominic Reed quit the Invictus Games not long after Harry had accepted the Pat Tillman Award. There was a lot of backlash. They tried to twist it. Harry's team came out fighting, saying that Harry was collecting the award on behalf of the Invictus Games. No, he wasn't. Harry went on stage to collect that award for himself. Yes, he said he was up there for the Invictus Games, but I think everybody can see through that. which still makes me laugh. Here you go. Here's a couple of pictures of Harry creating the Invictus Games. It was Harry's brainchild, remember. Harry had the Invictus Games created by teams of people. His brother was the patron alongside him, using the Royal Foundation of both the princes. Prince William was very much involved with the creation of the Invictus Games alongside his brother, who looks bored shitless here. Tell me again that Harry created it. Everybody knows that the Invictus Games was a UK version using the blueprint of the Warrior Games in America that has long since been established. Now, while we're talking about Harry's commitment and dedication, even though he doesn't wear a uniform, let's talk about when he did have a uniform. He was given the position of Captain General of the Royal Marines. This was huge. This was a huge honour for him because only kings had held that position, and then the monarch's husband, Prince Philip. This was handed down to him, and this was a huge thing for his grandfather, a very special commitment to be passed down to Harry. Harry decided to shirk his responsibilities as Captain General of the Royal Marines, and instead of attending a concert to honour 11 Marines that had died, Harry took his wife to a Disney film premiere where he pimped her out for voiceover work to Disney CEO Bob Iger and, of course, Jon Favreau, which was obviously captured on camera. It's still one of the most humiliating moments for any member of the royal family to have been caught doing such a thing. I mean, I can still feel the pain in my jaw from watching Beyonce cringe as it happened. Now, while I'm busy reminding people of Harry's commitment and respect that he shows to the military, what about when he and his wife took a fashion photographer to an LA cemetery, reportedly closed it down, that's why there's no other families in any of the photographs, so he could have a photo shoot which would have been timed again to clash with Remembrance Sunday. This was Harry's childish attempt at laying a wreath after the Queen said to him, "No, Harry, you cannot have a wreath laid at the Cenotaph." Some of you might think that I'm being harsh and I'm being mean, but Harry is literally using veterans, US veterans, as much as he is UK veterans. And he is using them to try and make himself some sort of celebrity that can represent all veterans, that can speak out on the world. Absolutely incredible. The crowds, the people, it really was a spectacular event. But everybody can see the decline in the games since it left the protective net of the royal umbrella, royal advisors. I mean, Meghan's probably got her business managers and business lawyers with their fingers in those pies. For a start, you know, we've seen certain things change with the Invictus Games, the charities that are supporting them. There have been people leaving the Invictus Games. There's been reshuffling. There's a lot of things that have happened with the Invictus since Harry and Meghan took it over as part of their severance deal of leaving the royal family. So as for Harry, who is he talking to? Because Harry has turned his back on pretty much everybody. Harry is now left with very few options to stay relevant, and using veterans, the military and the Invictus seems the only thing that he's really got left. Harry doesn't stand alongside anybody other than his own reflection, and as I've said before, much like the story of Dorian Gray, I don't think it's a particularly pleasant reflection. So guys, that's it for me on this video. I'm going to be back with you very soon. We've got to talk about books, we've got to talk about jam, we've got to talk about beards, and we've got to talk about the Princess of Wales. So guys, I will be back with you very soon. See you then. Take care for now. Bye.